Lesson 38, Interpreting Graphs. Graphs show quantitative data. Quantitative data just means how many there are or how much you have. I always remember it because quantitative reminds me of the word quantity, which means how much. We have several types. One is called a pictograph. And we'll draw examples. So this is the number categories. These are just very quick examples. They're not real beautiful. So we have first, hour, third, hour. Each star is 6, and each sign that looks like that is 3. So we're going to put 3 stars here, and then we're going to put 3 stars, and then that little symbol that goes like that. So you could tell right away that there's 18, whatever it is we're counting, 18 in first hour and 21 in third hour. So this is just a brief example. Display numerical data. Oh, I'll do that later. Okay, this is a bar graph. Oh, I wanted to go back and emphasize on a pictograph. You have to look at the legend that tells you what each picture represents. So for instance, you wouldn't just count, oh, there's 3 in first hour. You would actually need to see what each one is worth, and then you can figure out how much is there. Now a bar graph will look like this, just has some bars that are separated. And then we have what's called a histogram, and a histogram is actually a type of bar graph. It's a specific type. And this is where we have intervals along the horizontal axis. So I'm going to give an example of some intervals like January, February, March. Those are between 2 numbers. So January would be the whole month of January. So that's kind of an interval. So we have to remember on a histogram, basically it compares 2 sets of data using intervals. These 3 types of graphs display numerical data. So just along the side, write displays numerical data. going to turn the page. I just want to make sure you're ready for me to turn the page. All right, if you don't quite get it all, we can come back to it. You can borrow a friend's or watch the video at home and collect the rest of it. So we have what's called a line graph. I remember this one because it has connected segments. And here's what one would look like. And line graphs show changes over time. And they are connected segments. And then we have one called a pie graph or pie chart, and sometimes it's called a circle graph. So we would have a circle divided up into sectors. We'll put this as 30%, 19%, 21%. This one's going to be 5. So if you were to add all of these percentages, you should get 100%. This compares parts of a whole, and the whole would be 100%. So when you're doing a pie graph, you have to know that the categories that you're putting in there would take up the whole thing altogether, would take up what you're talking about. It has to be 100%. When drawing your own graph, you're going to be asked to draw graphs. There's some things that you need to remember. You have to have a title to your graph. So at the top of your graph, you'll have a title. You want to label your axes, so the horizontal and vertical axis or axes. And then you need to make sure to have a legend on your pictograph. So if you're doing a graph that has pictures in it or is a pictograph, you have to make sure you have the legend on there. Okay, we're going to do some practice sets so we can practice reading and interpreting and drawing graphs. This is the end of the lesson part.